Well, welcome to staff. Excited to be here with everybody. I can honestly say this week was pivotal for me in a sense because I find that this is not going to work. It was kind of pivotal for me this week because I've never really felt at home, to be honest, anywhere. I grew up as an English kid in a French city. So I grew up like maybe how a Mexican would feel in LA. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like it's not your place, right? You could eventually kind of make it your place, but it's not Mexico. You know what I mean? And then I joined the army, and the Canadian Army has French regiments and English regiments. And so they slated me for a French regiment because I was recruited in Montreal. And I was like, do not put me in a French regiment. They will kill me. I'm Irish Canadian. I'm an English guy. They hate people like me. Put me, please, in a English regiment, which was probably a mistake. I probably should have gone. My French would be a lot better. But they put me in an English regiment, and guess what the English guys thought of me? You're a Montrealer. You're French. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? And like for years, it was like, man, I can't believe how good your English is. What? I am English. You know what I mean? They're like, I can't believe like it would be like somebody of Latin, a Mexican descent goes and joins the Mexican army, and they're like, I can't believe how good your English is if they grew up in LA. You know what I mean? Yeah, really. It's like, I just can't believe you speak English so good. I'm English, dude. I grew up in California. You know what I mean? But I'm sure some of you guys can relate. Yeah. And so that's been kind of my life. And then, serving in different places in the world, India, Africa, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you love it. You know what I mean? I love these places, but you're never like looking at a bunch of your own people. Even when I've visited Ireland, where everybody looks like me, or Denmark, or wherever the Vikings were, they kind of look like me. You know what I mean? Like Norway or Normandy or any of these places. But the moment I open my mouth, they know I'm not one of them. You know what I'm saying? So even in Dublin, like people would walk up to me like, "Hey, how do we get to the da 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 da?" And I'm like, "You know what? I'm a." The first word out of my mouth. You know what I mean? But I can say this, in the last 3 months, I'm certainly not Texan. Like I'm not Texan. That's established, right? The cowboy boots, all hat, no cattle. You know what I mean? I would like to get a cow one day. I would like to get a cow. There's a farmer nearby who's got longhorn cattle. I'm just gonna go buy one. You know what I mean? Want to have the money one day, not today. But I'm told they go for about $700, and I'm gonna go. Can I just have one of these? I'll buy it from you right now. $700. Here you go. Just don't kill it. Just let it live there, and it'll be my cow. And I'll come and see it, and bring it some grass and stuff like that, and it'll be my cow, and then I could wear a cowboy hat and be, a real cattle owner. You know what I mean? But I can say this for the first time. There's nowhere else I mean this genuinely. It kind of came as a surprise to me. There's nowhere else I would rather live than right here in Texas. I'm serious. Like, I can't say I'm at home because you talk to me for 2 seconds and you find out I'm not a Texan, right? However, I am 100% sure I would be like super sad to move anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, there's nowhere else, and there's some nice places in the world. Like when the boys are in university and whatnot, and we're empty nesters, like I could easily go live in India or Thailand or something like that. But to be honest, now like I used to kind of look forward to that. Like once the boys are out, we can be free and we go live and run the tribe out of Thailand or something like that. Now I'm like I would be super sad to not wake up in Texas in the morning. You know what I mean? I just really like it. I can't think of anything I don't like about it. Even the weather, the heat, you walk out, it just hits you. One of my favorite places to sit down is right in front of our house. We got some chairs. I just sit there and I don't even need to get into a hot tub. It's free. It's free. You don't even, in California, you have to pay to get a jacuzzi to have that experience. Here, I just walk up my front door, sit down, light some cinnamon incense. Enjoy God. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to share that for whatever reason. It's not really in my notes. Today, last week, what did we talk about? Spacesuit. What's the value of spacesuit?
Stay spiritual in higher altitudes.
Stay spiritual in higher altitudes. Having led 14 or so churches, having sent out a lot of people, I've observed that almost every time things don't work out, and actually, I can't think of a single case where people came back in bleeding and burning all over the place, and it wasn't a spacesuit related issue. It's not like a maybe thing. It's an absolutely for sure thing. And you ignore your spacesuit to your own guaranteed demise. It doesn't even bother me now when if you see somebody being arrogant or whatever. I used to get mad, like, how could this happen? Now I'm like, dude, we're good. This, unfortunately, I can help him. If he doesn't listen, God will sort it out. Period. It will be done. You know what I'm saying? No cap. It will be done. But that being said, you can have a great spacesuit, which includes being very fruitful, etc. And yet something, you could claim that what I'm going to talk about here today kind of fits within spacesuit, but it's something that I want to emphasize with you guys right now, and I think it's a very important topic I've found in ministry, and that is to love the battle. That is to love the battle. It is unfortunate when people do not learn to love the battle. When people do not love the battle, when they only love the victory, when they only love the applause, when they only love the glory, unfortunately, it can lead to a very twisted and warped person. Sadly, unfortunately, up in Canada, we have a bear problem. And the bears, once a bear comes into the city and eats garbage, it's over. Because it finds out that you can literally open a bag of garbage, and in that bag of garbage is a wonderful treasure of rotten rice, for example, and like a big half uneaten lasagna, and some maggoty chicken from 2 weeks ago. And once it learns that you can get these wonderful treasures from the garbage can, it's coming into the city every time. It will never work again to get the food that it should be eating. Like eating 200,000, I can't remember what the number was, but I think it's something like 20,000 berries a day, something like that. That's a lot of work. Or break open one bag of garbage and get those wonderful, maggoty, rotten treasures. And once it discovers that it won't have to roam for miles searching for those calories, and it could just open that treasure of garbage, then it will always go for the garbage. And then, unfortunately, that bear will have to be shot. You have to shoot the bear because you can't untrain the bear to eat the garbage. And the bear is going to come into the city, and then some dog is going to bark at it, and then it's going to kill somebody's dog, and then kill somebody, and you just can't do it. So the police just show up, and once they confirm that it's a dumpster diving bear, they just shoot it. You know what I'm saying? Disciples can be the same way. Disciples can be the same way. Once a disciple is like, hey, I want to skip the hard work. I want to skip the hard work. I want to skip the spirituality. I want to skip the whole God part. And I just want glory before men. God's got to shoot you. Because you become a dumpster diving disciple. Are you with me? But I, as I'm talking to healthy, cranking forest bears right now. Okay? And you guys eat like a great diet of fish and berries and roots and all kinds of great stuff. And I know that there's like a city over there and you see that garbage and you're like, I wonder what's in that bag. Don't go near the bag. In Acts chapter 5, we see the apostles who are basically arrested and put in jail because they are literally filling Jerusalem with the teaching about Jesus. So they're filling, everybody is hearing about this. Now, you can appreciate how, for the people who killed Jesus, right, that would be an uncomfortable experience. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because they are convicting people. They are literally, in a certain sense, they are prosecuting the Pharisees in front of everyone, right? And so that, I don't think, was their intention. Like they weren't trying to bring, like they weren't griping about the crucifixion of Jesus. But what they were doing is they were presenting the truth of the beautiful gospel to the people, but it convicted half the city who were involved with killing Jesus. Are you with me? And so these guys were filling the city. Hey, does anyone here know anything bad that Jesus ever did? People are like, I can't. I can see now. I can walk now.
Yeah, right.
My child is here. Can anyone think of anything bad that Jesus did? Do you know that even Pontius Pilate said he couldn't find anything? Do you know that he was wrongly crucified? Do you guys know that? Now, what's amazing about this is that Jesus, although he was terribly brutalized, he never mentions his crucifixion one time. He doesn't mention it. He doesn't talk about how fair or unfair it was or la 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 la. He resurrects. He builds his kingdom. We're good. The one occasion where he sort of in a secondary way obliquely mentions it is when Thomas says, I don't even believe Jesus is alive, and then Jesus goes like this. That's it. Right? Other than that, he doesn't talk about it. Who talks about it? The apostles. The apostles talk about it. And the consequence is, I don't think that they were trying to get into anything with the Pharisees. They were trying to talk about the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ so that people could become disciples. Are you with me? However, these guys took it the wrong way. Fair enough. And they put these guys in prison. An angel comes and releases them. They're found again. They're taken before the Sanhedrin. Gamaliel, who was Paul's teacher, comes to their defense. So he's known as one of the great rabbis in history. And he comes to their defense. He goes, hey, if what these guys are doing is of human origin, they're gonna wipe themselves out. But if it's from God, you will only find yourself opposing God. Now, they can't overcome his argument, so they go, all right, well, let's just savagely beat them one time. Okay, fair enough. So they take these guys and they flog them. Have you ever seen a flogging? No. It is bad. I mean, a flogging is bad. You are taken, you are brutally. Now, you may not have like flesh ripping off like Jesus, where they were trying to kill him with the flogging, but they say that, you know, they keep it under a number because if it goes over that number, you will kill the guy. Are you with me? And that number is 40 lashes. Now, and they do a -1 to stay away from the 40 number. Are you with me? So 20 in the Bible is a number of like beginning. So at 20 you start to pay the shekel. The dimensions of the tabernacle are 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. There's all kinds of 20s in the Bible when things are getting started. Are you with me? 40 is when it hits maturity. So how long was the Jesus talk about the kingdom? 40. How many lashes to kill somebody? 40. And they would do a -1 just to be, let's be careful. Just in case somebody miscount, they don't want to, break the law or whatever. But 40, 40 years in the desert. 40 is this number. The Bible, it's full of numbers, and these numbers are trying to tell you something. Are you with me? And by the way, the universe is full of numbers too. And God works through these things. It's pretty incredible. So these guys are flogged severely. Are you with me? Yeah. For doing nothing wrong. Let's take a look at their attitude here. In Acts chapter 6, verse 40. Verse 40. His speech persuaded them. They called the apostles in and had them flogged. Brutal. Then they, Acts chapter 5, verse 40. Then they ordered them not to speak in the name of Jesus and let them go. Of course, they're not going to do that, right? The apostles left the Sanhedrin very upset. And complaining about the unfair treatment. The apostles left and were very bitter. The apostles didn't feel this was fair, so they fell away. The apostles became very sullen and started to sit at the back row at church. It's not illegal to sit at the back row. I love you guys, but you understand the point. You understand the point. I know you don't always sit at the back row, but if you did, that would be weird, right? You like automatically. What is the farthest away I could be? How far can I be back here without the shepherds and the ushers talking to me? Fair enough. No, what does the Bible say? The apostles left the Sanhedrin rejoicing because they had been counted worthy of suffering disgrace for the name. Day after day in the temple courts of UTA and UTD, and from house to house, including the Lovichev's new house in Rockwall Heath, they never stopped teaching and proclaiming the good news that Jesus is the Messiah. This is a big deal. Sometimes, you could read something and go, "Oh, that's really interesting. Let's keep reading." Sometimes you have to, as a leader, you gotta read and you gotta like wrap your mind around this. And you gotta think of it from a leadership standpoint. You got to be a critical thinker. You have to be someone who doesn't just read something and goes, "Oh, hey man." You got to read it and you got to go, "Are we doing this? Are we doing this? Yes or no?" Are you with me? Yeah. And you got to think like that. I remember my first year in political science. I showed up and I had this wonderful professor, and he was incredible. And I kept writing these essays that were history papers. And he kept talking to me, and he has no idea what an impact he had in my life, but he kept talking to me. He goes, "Tim, I don't want these history papers anymore. You're not in history class. You are a political science major. There's no tool in here. This is a story. I don't want a story. I don't care about your grammar. I don't care about your syntax. I don't care about nothing. I don't want a nice paper, and I don't want a historically accurate paper. I want a tool." And I just couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. It was so hard for me to change my brain. You know what I'm saying? And finally, I mean, as I started to wrestle with it, I started to learn political science is not about the history of Saudi Arabia. Political science is asking the question, okay, when you have a group of young people, and so the bell curve of the society is sort of weird, where you have more young people, a lot more young people than older people, and there's not enough jobs, and young men can't get married, does that result in an increase of extremism? And what do you find? The answer is yes. So a bunch of young men who can't find girlfriends and can't afford to get married tend to do crazy things. They're mad. You see what I'm saying? And they give them a wife. No terrorism. The biggest solution to terrorism is a wife. They won't go kill people if they can afford to have a real wife. Are you with me? So thank you, sisters. But then you take this and you superimpose it over Northern Ireland. Does it work? Yes. You superimpose it over every Palestine. You superimpose it over Afghanistan. You superimpose it over any area with extremism in the world of any kind. The rise of the KKK in the South, et cetera, et cetera. You superimpose that, and what do you find? A bunch of young guys who can't get jobs and can't get wives tend to do crazy stuff. Are you with me? That's political science. You see, we are not, ICCM, this church, this staff, is not theology. We don't do theology. People even try to kind of make ICCM a theology thing. They want to. You know what I mean? They're like, "I'm studying theology." You're not studying theology. Trust me, you would be demolished. We don't prepare you at all. I'm like one class away from finishing my minor in theology. We don't even know theology. We don't teach theology. Do you know what Vatican I was? You know what Vatican II is? You know what Gaudium et Spes is? You never heard of this stuff, right? Can you explain feminist theology? Can you explain libertarian theology? You don't know? You've never heard of these things. You've never heard of the top 5 theologian writers. You couldn't even name them if your life depended on it. We're not doing that. We're doing ministry. ICCM, International College of Christian Ministries. Now, theology people can't do ministry to save their life either, so you're okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, what's a Bible talk? What's discipling? What do you do if They don't know. Sadly, most, and this really killed the denominational world, is they hired theology people to become their leaders, and that does what? Nothing. You don't want history people in charge of a country. You want political science people in charge of a country, because they're going to actually think about things. They're not just trying to find out what happened. You don't want theology people. You want ministry people. Ministry people are going to take a look at a scripture, and they're not just going to go, wow, what a wonderful thing. And this happened in 34. So that means that Jesus died, and and it took this many years, and Herod Antipas was the leader at that time. And we're not interested in that. It's not illegal. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not really what we're shooting for. What we're shooting for is, do we have this attitude, and can we implement this attitude in the church, and how are we going to do it? That's called restoration. That's what we are. We're part of the restoration movement. We're the torchbearers of the restoration movement. Go on Wikipedia, and what do they show you? They show you a literal graph, and they talk about every single church of the restoration movement, and what's the one right here? The ICC. So I don't know who did that,
But cool.
but they're right. because we're not looking backward, we're looking forward. We're actually trying to find out how to implement the Bible in today. Are you with me? Yeah. And yet, sadly, we have many people who, if they took one hit, I'm not talking a bad 40 lash flogging, I'm talking one hit with a stick across the back, they would be sad for 2 weeks.
I would agree.
And they would gripe about it.
Oh, yeah. For weeks.
For their life, maybe. You know what I mean? If a cop pulled somebody out of here, maybe, and pulled you in the corner over there, and just gave you just one, with an asp baton.
Oh, no.
Schlock!
Yeah, that'd be the end of that one.
I don't know if you would go rejoicing to share your faith in the atrium and from house to house. Are you with me?
Yes.
And so our job is to look at this and go, wow, we need to change. We got to change. We have to love the battle more than we love the victory. I was at a service, and people were screaming like it was crazy. I mean, I love God. I'll do anything for God. Cha, cha, cha. Are you ready for the announcements? Yeah. Come on, bro. Announce it right now. I'm ready for this. Cha. I was like, holy smoke, this is incredible. I'm just like, wow, I'm blown away. You know what I mean? And then a heckler in the back got up and started making threats. Okay? This really happened. This year. This year. I can't say. I don't want to. But a heckler got up and started making threats. Okay? So I go to the back immediately. We grab this guy politely, respectfully. We move him out. One other person joins me. One. A United States Marine. Who was on the weak and concerned list. Now, probably for good reason. Probably people don't get on that list for nothing, right? So he was clearly like missing contributions sometimes, or missing something. This, you know what I mean? I'm sure that I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm sure he legitimately belonged on that list. I'm sure I would put him on that list. I'm just saying that he was on the list. And he was the only guy who was right behind me. Wound up, ready to go. Polite, respectful, but totally clear-eyed. We were not going to allow this dude to hurt those people. It was not going to happen. And we talked to the gentleman, and it turned out that he had some really, like, no kidding around. I mean, this was not behavioral. This was, like, very serious schizophrenia. And he was not kidding about what he was saying or thinking. And so we took him downstairs, and it was an education. But we got him into an Uber, and he went home.
Amen.
And it worked out.
Come on.
But just because you are tearing your shirt off with excitement
Yes.
doesn't mean you're ready to actually do something or face any kind of hardship at all. Are you guys with me? And really, I mean, if you have 200 people screaming and shouting, there should be at least 25 brothers. You know, not like football rushing the guy. You know what I mean? But you would think that you would have some guys who would be like, you know, hey, how can we help? What's going on here? You know what I mean? We got to protect the. But these guys were glad that two of us went to sort it out. You could tell they were like. Ooh. But they didn't want to help. Are you with me? and I'm not criticizing anyone. I love everybody. I respect everybody. But do we have? I'm a preacher, so I got to, say what's up. Do we have this attitude? Did that demonstrate this attitude? Even the ushers didn't come.
Right. Oh my.
Even the ushers didn't come. The ushers were total hardcore pedestrians. We have to clue in here. You know what I mean? That what are we even trying to do here? What are we trying to do here? This is not a game. This is real. We're really into this. Satan's not our friend. He doesn't like us. There's going to be persecution. Bad things are going to happen. Can you handle it? Or are you the kind of person who, if you're not consistently, powerfully, convincingly lifted up, and everything's going well in your life, that you are going to literally turn into a barbecue on the side of the spiritual road? Are you with me? Let's take a look here in James chapter 1. And I don't want to be cavalier because truth be told, you don't know. And just because you stood up yesterday doesn't mean you're going to stand up today. And you could be super courageous today and be curled up sucking your thumb tomorrow. So you got to stay close to God. You do not know. Do you know what I mean? The ancient samurai would take time every single morning to meditate on their death. They would take time every morning and meditate on death because they knew that someone could come after their doyomo, their leader, their shogun, at any time out of a crowd. And if they did not jump in the way of that arrow or jump in the way of that sword or engage that situation right away, it would be a permanent shaming forever. They would have to commit suicide, seppuku, if they did not, if their doyomo died, or any of his family members under their watch. And so every morning they would meditate on their death. We're called, in a way, to do the same thing, except not for worldly, political, weird stuff, but for God. Are we ready? And I'm not better than you. Trust me, I'm not better than you. I hope I react right. I've reacted right several times in the past. I'm not sure I'll react right next time.
Correct.
I don't know. Anyone who tells you I will always do, these are the guys who run. Yeah. Are you with me? I don't know. I hope so. I want to believe that. That's my value system, is to shepherd the flock. So I'm gonna take care of people way more than they might imagine. You know what I mean? For me, this is not just like churchy time. This is the kingdom of God. You're my brothers and sisters. We're born of the same blood. Blood is thicker than water, and the blood of Christ is what unites us. Are you with me? In James chapter 1, and this is a tough attitude to assume, In James chapter 1, starting at verse 2, the Bible says, consider it pure joy when everything goes your way. Consider it pure joy when you win the lottery. Texas State Lottery. Mega Millions 787. You saw the billboard. I saw the billboard. Our thoughts went through our heads, right? We all saw it. Consider it pure joy when the interest is mutual. You smile at that sister, and she smiles right back. Consider it pure joy when everyone you share your faith with comes to church, studies the Bible, and gets baptized. Consider it pure joy when you eat that extra large pizza and lose 10 pounds. It's incredible. Consider it pure joy when everyone is nice to you and all your friends are super mature, thoughtful, godly, incredible, loyal friends. Right? Isn't that right? Okay, but let's see what the Bible says. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters. And sisters. When you face trials. Not like acute problems. Like everyone wants an acute problem. You know what I mean? Like it hurts and it's over. No. We're talking chronic now. Trials. It's chronic. There's no app for that. You cannot get a drive-through solution. It is parked. You are in this problem. It's not going away. Are you with me? When you face trials, one trial. Okay, fair enough. Just one. I'll take one trial and I will do great with it. And one kind of trial. One of one kind, okay. And I can control it, and I have a clear solution. I see where this is going. I see the train at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. You're like, there it is. There's a light. There's a light. It's getting bigger. What's that sound? When I passed basic training, I came in top of my class. I was the platoon leader of 100 graduates. And for basic training, which is like 8-week, dog training school. You got Navy guys there, Army guys there, Air Force guys there, the Canadian Army, the Canadian military does a whole party together. And then, they gathered us that night of our graduation. And they said, okay, they started listing off all the names. All you guys, you're going to go to engineering school or this school or flight school or, some kind of fun school. Then he waits for the last. He goes, for all of you guys that I just named, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, for the infantrymen, you're now going to battle school. The light is a train. Private Tim Kernan. And he starts going, we're like, holy smokes. It was just terror. You know what I mean? Just grip your heart. You know what I mean? And I paid for my mom to come to the graduation. She was waiting for me outside. Went to her Airbnb. Got in bed at 11 p.m. at night. and then woke up in the morning.
Amen. That's good faith.
However, it was not the next day.
Oh, wow.
So I slept all night, all day, all night. Woke up thirsty a couple times, but didn't understand what happened. And then woke up in the morning after 8 weeks of basically dog training school. But then we had to go to infantry school where I'm 17 years old and they are not going to allow 17-year-olds to pass infantry school.
Oh, they're just not willing.
They're just not going to do that. That would be shame for them. That would be shame. These instructors will not allow that to happen. They can't. If they allow a 17-year-old to graduate, it's embarrassment for them. Because so they literally were like, you can't. You're too young. You should not be in the army. You will not pass here. Quit. They gave me a folded up McDonald's application, which I had to have filled out in my pocket at all times. And my instructors told me, Kernan, all you got to do is just hand this in, and we will have you out of here in 24 hours. And you can go put that application in at McDonald's. I refused to quit. I got failed out on week 15. I didn't quit, but they failed me out because it's the Canadian Army is too small of a community. They all know each other. They will not bear the shame of letting this kid graduate. It just means that, it wasn't battle school. They call it beauty school. So they go, did you graduate battle school or did you graduate beauty school? Because you should, no one, they want a 25-year-old, they want Gavin Fua to graduate. They want Kenny to graduate. They do not want a 17-year-old graduates. That's an embarrassment for them. 15 weeks. I get on the phone with my mom. I get on the phone with my dad. I get on the phone with relatives. I go, you have to call the Department of National Defense and you have to petition aggressively for me to be put on the next course. I want to start over. My mom had some connections, called some people. I got brought into an office. They said, we are prepared to put you back at week 1. If you accept to go back onto week 1, then we'll put you back in. I was so glad tears were coming out of my eyes. I accepted. I got put back on week 1. I never contemplated suicide except the day that they kicked me off that course. I never contemplated suicide and never contemplated killing myself until the day they were like, you will not be in the infantry. You will not be in the army. You're going to be a civilian in 2 or 3 days. You failed. And I never, up until that time, was so happy to get put back on week 1. And I did the entire shenanigan over again. 15 weeks of murder. And finally graduated and went into the battalion. Wow. And when I got to battalion, I didn't know this, but my course, the people who had gone with me through all of basic training and all of 15 weeks had actually had a song about me and were waiting for me to arrive in battalion. And it was Kernan the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I made it to battalion. I didn't get hazed. I got welcomed straight in. And my old buddies surrounded me and really took care of me. It was a pretty beautiful, beautiful experience. But that was for me, you hit a moment where you get hit by challenges that are literally, you can't believe it, but it's a train. You can't believe it. Like, God, are you serious? Do you know what I've been through? I've been faithful. I've been coming through. There's the light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to make that light a train? And then you're going to send me, in my case, in that story, 2 trains? I had to do infantry battle school 2 times from day 1. You're going to make me do battle school 2 times? The answer is yes. God will do that. The infantry, they do that because the Canadian Army, I'll stop with that analogy, but Canadian Army is a peacekeeping powerhouse. So you don't just join the army and then train on a base somewhere. You will go to Bosnia and you will be in a small detachment of 10 guys standing between Serbs and Croats very fast. So they just can't have people graduate who aren't ready for that. You see what I'm saying? It was a kindness. I didn't see it at the time, but they were trying to protect me from a terrible experience. Are you guys with me? And our platoon, I missed the deployment, but because of that, our platoon went out and 2 guys were shot. Both lived. One has permanent brain damage to this day. And we've taken our family at Christmas to go. They have the actual Jeep that Phil Badani was in. And you can go on Google and see this. 9 Platoon, Charles Company, 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment, my unit. And it is filled with hundreds of bullet holes. And they have it at the Canadian War Museum to this day. But these guys were trying, I didn't see it that way, but they were trying to protect me from something terrible. Are you with me? And maybe I wouldn't even be here today. I don't know. When God puts trials in your life, when that light at the end of the tunnel turns out to be a train, and then when you think that train is good, there's another train, it's because God loves you. I know. I know it's hard to believe, right? But do we, unfortunately right now, it's just the nature of our society, and it's nobody's fault per se, but about half of, as a movement, about half our people fall away. About half the baptisms fall away. Yeah, it's true. And it's not one church or another church or this style or that style. It's, I think at some point you have to go, what's being preached is good. We're dealing with a society that is incredibly weak, and we have to realize and clue into something here, and we have to start to emphasize more some of this teaching and make sure that we as the leadership, remember this is a staff meeting, that we as the leadership clue in that yes, this guy agreed to get baptized, and yes, he wants to be a disciple, but he didn't have a dad. He grew up in a household where his mom did her best. He has never been part of a family, never stayed loyal to anything, never maybe started basketball and quit, started this and quit, started that and quit, started the other thing and quit, somehow got into university on some kind of bursaries or whatever, and you just met him 3 days ago, you rush his studies, you're going to get him baptized, and you think he's going to be a great disciple who's going to stay faithful to the end. That's folly. That's folly. That's impossible. This is not a person who has character. He doesn't know what you're talking about. He's never done this before. Are you with me? And we got to clue into that. And it's not that what we teach is wrong. It's, I believe, what we emphasize that can be wrong. Because we don't emphasize the right teaching with the right people and realize these guys can't do what we're asking them to do. This guy never went to 3 basketball practices in a row. And you think he's going to come to every church meeting now? He's never given his mom $5. And you think he's going to come and give contro to the church every week? He's never contributed to anything. He's been a total taker his whole life. He's never persevered through problems. He's never had to deal with a train coming at him. And now he's going to be in God's kingdom, and you think he's going to operate at the rather high level of culture that we expect? We expect a lot. We expect a lot. And unfortunately, we're sometimes, on occasion, adding people, and sometimes even in our own hearts, because I'm not better than anybody, we can backslide from these convictions. Are you with me? And the consequences can be life and death. Loving the battle is not just like a nice lesson that I like to preach once in a while. It's survival for most people. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever, when's whenever? Whenever. Whenever means whenever. In the morning? At night? When it's convenient? When it's not convenient? When it's in season? When it's not in season? All the time. Whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know. Now that's very kind to phrase it like that. You know what I mean? Because I think we don't know sometimes. He's like, because you know, right? Because you know, right? They're like, yeah, I know. Absolutely. You know that the testing of your faith. So what's testing of faith? Do things test your faith when you have faith to believe? No, they test your faith when it seems ridiculous. That's the only way to test someone's faith is when it goes, man, this is going to go bad. This is going to go really bad. Only when you think it's going to go really bad are you ready for the testing of your faith. You know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Now, to me, I think he's almost like shooting toward like a little bit of comedy relief right there. Because he goes, you're going to face trials of many kinds. Your faith is going to get gnarly tested. Gnarly. Like, you are literally, I'm going to put you in a box where seemingly nothing is going your way. Some of you guys have been through that recently. Transitions can do that. Right? Like, you're not going to sell the old house. You're not going to get the new house. You're not going to, nothing. Right? Just, okay, here we go. Nothing is going to work out. Get in the box. You see what I'm saying? And God takes away, it's beautiful. God purposely, and I'm not calling this down upon myself, but I just want you to be aware. God is going to take away everything you count on for your security. Okay? It's going to feel like free fall. It's going to be free fall central. There's going to be nothing, just falling. And people go, I just feel like I'm falling. I just feel like nothing's working out. Nothing. And God is like, and I'm doing this because I want you and me to be everything. Yeah. When God takes away everything, and nobody can help, it's not an accident. Right. It's purposeful from God. He's going to do it to you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Okay? Come on, Tim. He's going to do it. If he hasn't done it, if he's done it, he's going to do it again. Okay? And all you got to do is get focused on God and get your comfort from God. And isn't it interesting that the second you just go, you know what, man? It's me and God, ride or die, do your worst. Let's go. And the second you hit that moment, it's like the ground comes up, whoom, and everything's good, and here's the keys, and right? He's like, okay, great. But you're happy because the Lovichefs are going to open the door to that place and walk in, but they're cool. Like they were surrendered. Completely refined in the fire. Anything was burned off. And now they can enjoy it. Wow, the blessings of God. Which room are you going to choose? And all this great stuff is going to happen. But it's only when everything gets burned off. Perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work. Perseverance is incredibly painful at the beginning. You with me? Yeah. It's just pain because you want what you want and you feel and it hurts. But then isn't it true at the end of perseverance, it's fine. At the end you're like, hey, I love God. Man, I love God. And perseverance starts to feel great. And isn't it interesting? Exactly that moment, God suddenly brings everything that you wanted. Better, in a way you couldn't even imagine before. You couldn't even guess how good it's going to be. Let perseverance finish its work so you may be mature. You know, we live in a society where, unfortunately, you know, all those models you see on the billboards are like 13 years old. It's gross. You know, like the Maybelline models that are selling to grown women. Those girls are like 15, 14, 12, 13 years old. But they kind of like make up them so they look older. But they're girls. And what's the look that models like today? Or depressed. Like wicked depressed. What do they call it? Heroin chic? Like it's like zombie apocalypse. And what's that look say? It's a look that has a very specific point. It says, I have everything. And it doesn't make me happy. I'm still miserable. Gone is the happy model. Like, hi, buy this phone. No, it's that's the world. And we idolize that. Man, I wish I could be like that. Wish I could have everything. What does God want us to admire? Maturity. You look, guys, let me just put this in every young person's head right now. Thank you so much, gorgeous. You take a look at an older disciple who's stuck it out for 10, 15, 20 years, man, and who's happy. You have a disciple who walks in who's been a disciple like 10, 15 years, and they're like, hey, good morning, how are you? That's a hero, dude. Let me tell you. That's a hero. You show me an older person who's been through some stuff and stayed faithful, and they're happy, and they're giving to you, they're asking you how you're doing. That's a hero right there. There have been some grueling, I mean, take a layer off your skin, man. There have been some grueling battles that they've had to go through to get to that place. Let me tell you. And for every one of them, there's a sad dozen, hundreds maybe, who just didn't make it. That's why we have a culture in our church of like, hey, bro, can you sit in the front? You know what I mean? Like, move them to the front. Like, hey, bro, no, you sit in the front, man. Thank you that you made it and 200 other guys didn't. You know what I'm saying? And woe to the church that has a campus ministry but no singles and no marrieds. That's you guys ever seen Stephen King, Children of the Corn? Oh yeah. Like that's weird. You show up in a church and it's all kids, and it's like, is there a monster that comes out of the cornfield and like kills people when they hit 25 or something? What happens? Or maybe we're not teaching them to love the battle, and they can't make it. Are you with me? Maybe they are dumpster diving bears. Maybe that train was the last thing they saw. because they couldn't survive it. Are you with me? Let perseverance finish its work so you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. You got it all. Loving the battle. When they loved the battle, right, they came out rejoicing. What did they do? They went and got into more trouble right away. Right away. They went, where did they go? To Care Now? What do they call it here? Now Care? Care Now? But there's a name. In California, it's Memorial Care. Here, it's Care Now, I think. Is it Care Now? What's the one that's everywhere? Care Now. They didn't go to Care Now. They didn't go to Care Now. They rubbed some dirt on it, and where did they go? Straight back into the battle. Straight back to the temple courts and house to house. That's what it's all about. That's what this whole party is about. That's what this whole party is about. It's you have spacesuit so you can rejoice and love the battle. What does love the battle mean? It means when things don't go your way and Satan sends you a message, you send Satan a message back. I'll never forget being on the Paris mission team, and I prepared everybody. I said, guys, as soon as we land here, Satan's going to send you a message. I don't know what it's going to be, but you're going to get a nice love letter from Satan. And he's going to tell you how he feels about you. Yeah. And we landed, and one of the brothers there gets a phone call, and it was the most devastating hate that you could ever experience in my mind. He found out that a close relative, and these lessons don't go on Facebook or anything like that, so they're kept in a Google Doc, never to be maybe ever listened to again. Fair enough. But he got a message that a close relative had betrayed their family and been molesting his sister for years. He's shared about this. I'm not sharing out of. And she had gained weight, stopped brushing her teeth, stopped taking care of her hair, expressly to kind of like make herself unattractive to this abuser. And he had seen her degrade and didn't know why. But it all just suddenly became clear to him. And the hate of it. I mean, there's nothing worse. Sadly, I've experienced this. I found out that my sister had been molested. And there's nothing that will ever feel as nasty as that. It is the worst thing in the world. And he gets this message, and I could uniquely appreciate how he felt. Because I'm sitting there with him on a park bench.
Come on, Tim. We know.
And I said, bro, if you need to go home now, go. No problem. We'll fly you home right away. And he goes, Satan has sent me a message. And I have to send him a message back. And he went and he shared his faith that day.
Come on.
And he studied the Bible and baptized somebody. And he sent a message back. That brother's now overseeing churches. Having an incredible impact. Seen his marriage and his family healed and helped. And while they've not yet become disciples, they've been to church many times, and an incredible healing has happened to that family. And I believe that they'll all become disciples because of his example of faithfulness. Satan is going to send you a letter. It's going to be a very specific hate mail for you. This is serious business. We're in. We're in. This is not a video game. You cannot restart. It's going to be insidious, and it's going to hurt you in exactly the way that he knows you need to be hurt to quit. Are you with me? and you have to then decide what you're going to do. Are you going to rejoice because you know what? If I stay faithful, God is going to heal my family. God is going to heal the people who have been hurt. God is going to give them an opportunity, and Jesus himself will wipe away the tears in heaven. Or are you going to quit? Satan is a creature. He's a creature. He's not eternal. He's not God. Therefore, he can be encouraged or discouraged. If you walk away from trouble and you don't want to share your faith anymore, what did you just tell Satan? It's working. What do you think he's going to do? Double down. As bad as you thought that first message was, there's more. But the Bible says that if you stay faithful, he will flee from you. Why? Because he's a creature. He's a creature. So you get bad news, you share your faith. What do you think is going to happen? He's going to go, you know what? There's weaker targets out here, man. He may flee from you. That's true, right? Because, you've seen the meme of the little baby tiger, like, and then the big lion right behind. Just this huge, ferocious eyes. You know what I mean? And the dog or the hyena, whatever, is like fleeing the little guy, the kitten. You know what I mean? And the kitten thinks that it's fleeing. It's not fleeing from the kitten. He's fleeing from the horrendous 2-ton killing machine right behind the kitten. You know what I mean? But the hyena runs away. Satan will flee from you, not because of you. Not because of you, but because he sees the Lion of Judah behind you. Come on. You see what I'm saying? He sees the Lion of Judah behind you, and he will flee. He'll also flee just because of economics. There's no benefit. This guy doesn't get discouraged. I hit him, and he goes and shares his faith. You see what I'm saying? When people stop sharing their faith every day, you may approach it as leaders as like a scheduling problem. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, you just got to put it in your calendar. It's not a calendar thing, dude. It's not a calendar thing. Does he forget to eat? No. Does he forget to check his phone? No. Does he forget to see if that sister texted him? No, he knows how to do all that, right? But he doesn't know how to share his faith every day. Why? Because he's fleeing, not Satan. When we don't want to get in the battle, it's not a scheduling matter. It's a fear matter. It's a cowardice matter. And I'm just being honest because I'm no better than anybody here. When I don't share my faith, there's a reason. I don't want to get into it. I know if I share my faith with my neighbor, I'm going to have to deal with his marriage and his life and 50,000 things, and we're going to be into it. You know what I mean? This week, sadly, David's team lost the game, and you know how parents can be. And so a parent, a very important parent of a very important player, and the coach nearly got into a fist fight in the parking lot. And so they asked me to see if I could arbitrate like some kind of reconciliation, because by the time that happens, I mean, it's possible that it's the end of the team. You see what I'm saying? And so I was like, I sent him like a ruthless amount of scriptures. Like I said, I'm not going to handle this. You know, he's like, well, football's different than church. I go, God is God of your football pitch. Field. There you go. God is God of everything. These scriptures are totally relevant. I'm not here to figure out like your football dynamics. If you want my help, then I'm here to help you see how you guys should be acting. And I was like respectful and kind, but I engaged both parties. I said, this is what you have done wrong. This is what you guys have done wrong. And they were able to reconcile, and now the team carries on, and God is good. You know what I mean? And I really hope they study the Bible, and but we have two of the couples coming over for dinner, so we're excited about that, and God is going to work through this. The point of today's lesson is to I can't change what the Bible says. My job is not to slowly moderate the church so that we start to head toward what the scriptures say. No, our job is we can decide if we're going to be the disciples described in the Bible or not. That's it. What is the church founded on? The apostles and the prophets. Where do you find that? Right here. So either you built your house right on top of this, or it's built off to the side. That's it. That's it. I can't come along and help stick some rocks underneath your house to help you out. It's either here or it's built off to the side, and when the wind comes and the rain comes, it will disappear. This is not a joke. Half your life will be ripped off. That's going to happen. Unless you take that house and destroy it and decide to build on top of the proper foundation. Are you guys with me? Yeah. We got to have that attitude here, guys. We are not trying to build a nice little community, little frenzy church. We really want to go to heaven. We are revolutionaries. Democracy is not going to solve the world's problems. Britney Spears is not going to solve the world's problems. Drake is not going to solve the world's problems. There's only one thing that's going to really solve the world's problems. Discipleship. Every person making a choice to be a disciple would change the world. I can prove that. We got 144 people in this church. We're giving something like $80,000 as a Thanksgiving love offering, with no stated goal and no imposed number that anyone has to do. We're just saying, what does God put on your heart to give? $80,000 or more. I can't. 89. Sorry. Let's just say 90. 90. Okay. 90 grand, right? Given because 140 people wanted to do something good for God. How many people are in America? Let's just do the math. Let's just do the math real quick, okay? There's 300 million. More like what? Let's just live with 300 million, okay? Divided by 145 people is 2 million something times 89,000. Am I right? No. It would be, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it would be 89,000. Okay. If everyone in America was a disciple right now, do you know what our fall missions would be? 148 trillion. 137 billion. 931,034.84. 48 cents. Next year's school, bro. Is that crazy? What do you think we could do with that? Wipe out. So discipleship is not like a maybe solution. It is the only proven, capable, actual solution that can do this thing. Do you have the faith as I do, imitate me, that there can be millions of disciples in America? Do you believe it? Do you believe there can be millions and millions of disciples around the world who can be sacrificial and can give? Or have you sort of like decided like, hey, we're fighters and we're revolutionaries and we're just going to guard this little patch of forest right here and that's our part of the war. We're just going to keep the flag burning, keep the flag up and keep the torch burning and just represent in some way. Or do you believe that God could work the circumstances at some point, as he did for Israel many, 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 many times, that if you keep that torch burning and you continue to blow that trumpet, that all the peoples, even though they number as much as sands in the shore of the sea, could all be completely wiped out, and God could bring about a entire, as he did for Israel, the entire Israel back under godly leadership. Do you believe that God could do that? I believe he can do that, 100%. Now, if he does it or doesn't do it, I'm still going to be a disciple. But I know what we're shooting for. And if this movement is going to go into the millions, then you guys have to get comfortable with the idea of leading 10,000 people, 1,000 people, 500 people. And you better have the spacesuit to do it, but you also better have the love for the battle to do it. Today, we've talked about the love of the battle. I hope it's something that sticks with you. I hope that it encourages you at those moments where that train starts coming. And we all got our own trains. And I hope it encourages you because as we continue to grow and as God continues to do great things, he's going to send hate mail to you. And yet, the beautiful thing is that right inside that, if you persevere through that specific nasty trial that he's letting you go through and nobody else, that right inside of there is the beautiful opportunity through perseverance to become totally mature and complete. Satan sent you some messages. This week, send him some messages back. Share your faith more than you did last week. That's all I'm asking. Okay, so if it was not at all last week, which is possible, fair enough, get into the game.
There you go. There you go, Tim.
If it was some, more. If it was a lot, go for the gold record. Share your faith with more people you ever shared with before. This is a spiritual battle. Satan is trying to discourage the church. He has discouraged many a disciple. And if he succeeds, he will bring even more pain down into that person's life. I don't want to see that. I want to see him fleeing from the members of this church. I want to see him fleeing from the people in this room. Not because of you, but because of the big tiger behind you. I want to see beautiful things happen in your life. It's not going to happen unless we love the battle. I love you guys very much. Thank you.